You're watching Morning at NTV.
On this day, which most Christians will term as Good Friday, we remember with mindful affection the last journey of Jesus, when the psalms were finally sung and Jesus went on to Mount Olive and finally taken to Golgotha. Ladies and gentlemen, today we join the billions of Catholics and especially Christians all over the world that are ready to start the way of the cross. We are live from Our Lady of Africa Mbuya Catholic Church, and for the next 2 hours you will experience with Jesus the death and definitely his resurrection. Simon Kasiate, Joel Senyonyi, Mabel Kebirunji, Daka Bachigongo and the entire NTV crew are all here to join the thousands, perhaps the hundreds of people here. In a couple of minutes, they'll be on their way to do what Jesus did about 2,000 years ago. And you can see them, most of them holding rosaries, and some of them already, well, interceding on our behalf. Let's get today's show with the question of the day. Well, today we are definitely making it Christian, and you can see lots of students also joining the other people from the congregation here at Our Lady of Africa. Maybe let me just get one of them. Hello, hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm okay.
What's your name?
I'm Sandra.
Sandra?
Yeah.
Why have you come here?
Okay, like you've come to share the way of the cross with Christ.
With Christ?
Yeah.
Are you a Christian?
Yeah.
You confess Christianity?
Yeah, I do.
What class are you in?
I'm in Form 4.
Form 4.
Yeah.
And the school is?
St. Chizito.
St. Chizito SS Bugolobi.
Exactly.
Well, take care of yourself and enjoy.
All right.
That is what we are going to be doing exactly for the next 2 hours. So get onto our Facebook platform, Morning at NTV. You can also tweet us at Morning at NTV. The SMS platform is also used today, 6565. Tell us what you'd like to pray for. Definitely those prayer requests will come in handy today at the church. If you've never been to church, today might be one of those days where your life might be turned around. Well, for now, let's cross over to the NTV studios at the International Conference Center with Mabel, who has the stories that are making headlines. When we come back, the press review live from Our Lady of Africa Mbuya Catholic Church. Good morning.
And a very good Friday to you too. I hope you're having a wonderful Friday morning as we commemorate the death of Jesus Christ. We're going to head straight into the news. The chairperson of the Judicial Service Commission, James Ogola, says the absence of a substantive Chief Justice and his deputy is a breach of constitutional rule and an affront on the sanctity of the judiciary. Ogola, who was appearing before the Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee, also told lawmakers that Justice Stephen Kavuma, who is acting as Chief Justice and Deputy Chief Justice, is in office illegally.
Ogola's revelation comes on the heels of a protracted campaign by the Uganda Law Society calling for the appointment of a substantive Chief Justice. President Yoweri Museveni rejected Supreme Court Justice Bart Katurebe, who had been recommended by the Judicial Service Commission, and opted to reappoint Justice Odoki. Museveni, in a letter dated August 9, 2013, to the Speaker Rebecca Kadaga, handed Benjamin Odoki a 2-year contract as Chief Justice. But this attempt by the President to reappoint Justice Odoki as Chief Justice faced stiff flack from the legal fraternity.
The President wanted to reappoint him even after attaining the age of 70, and we said no, let's proceed to the Constitutional Court.
Odoki now serves on the Supreme Court. Appearing before the Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee this morning, the chairperson of the Judicial Service Commission, the retired Justice James Ogola, said the current vacuum in the judiciary is an affront on constitutional rule.
This is totally untenable. It's untenable because the state cannot, by any stretch of the imagination, be expected to function without a head.
Ogola also said Justice Stephen Kavuma's appointment as acting Chief Justice is legally flawed.
There is acting somebody whose basis for that is also been questioned.
Kavuma, who sits on the Court of Appeal, is also acting Deputy Chief Justice.
When the Chief Justice is absent temporarily, is a matter that's taken care of in the Constitution. It should be the Deputy Chief Justice. We do not find any other possibility of an acting, on a temporary basis, an acting Chief Justice.
The former principal judge, who was accompanied by a team of commissioners, said efforts to resolve this constitutional crisis with the president has not yielded results.
We are disabled. The judiciary is disabled. Is working not on its feet, but on, what are those things, the crutches. That's not a position we want to be in if we can avoid it, and there's no reason not to avoid it.
Ogola implored all the three arms of government to agitate for these appointments.
And that really the best way out of that quagmire is for the country to very quickly have a Deputy Chief Justice substantively appointed.
During the committee proceedings, MPs rushed out at the president for failing to fulfill a constitutional obligation.
We are operating in a state of breach of the Constitution. Because I don't know how Kavuma is operating.
My Lord, is it possible that maybe this is an indictment of the entire legal fraternity in this country? That there is no lawyer worth, according to President Yoweri Museveni.
They said they would meet the president to resolve this deadlock. Jingo Francis, NTV, Parliament.
Justice Ogola not mincing his words there. The Deputy Lord Mayor, Sulaiman Chidandala, has waded into the murky waters of the tape leak, saying he's disappointed in the conduct of the Inspector General of Police, Kale Kaihura. Chidandala also acknowledges that the voice that plays after a recording was posted on cyberspace, though he denied soliciting for a bribe. He said he met the IGP to discuss the impasse at City Hall between Lukwago and KCCA's Executive Director, Jennifer Musisi.
An audio tape of a conversation between the Inspector General of Police, General Kale Kaihura, and the Deputy to the Lord Mayor Sulaiman Chidandala was recently posted on social media. In the tapes, Chidandala, who is a protege of the Lord Mayor, is heard making unsavory comments about Elias Lukwago.
At some point, he kept on making statements. One, he kept on telling me, you see, I'm left with no option. Because if you have an office, you either get political capital out of it or financial capital out of it.
There is the true component of the leaks, which I cannot deny, and I will not deny, and I will stand by it, no matter when, no matter how. I don't have any problem with that. My only problem with the leaks is that they have been distorted and fabricated.
Chidandala told journalists at his office in Kampala that he met the police chief in Masini because he wanted the row at City Hall between KCCA Executive Director Jennifer Musisi and his boss Lord Mayor Elias Lukwago amicably resolved. However, Chidandala said he was shocked when he learned that the police chief had recorded their conversation.
I would say I found it very dishonest that in any case there was even a gadget recording. If you had invited me for a genuine meeting, then I didn't find it necessary to record what we are discussing.
Albeit the conspiracies that have since emerged after the audio tape leaked to the social media, Chidandala said that he had not informed his boss Elias Lukwago about his plans to meet the police chief. And this was his response when I asked him as to why he did not consult his boss.
Afterwards, we compare notes on so many things we have been doing, that probably this is how this happened and the intention was this. So this is what we do.
In the same leaked audio, there was a third voice of an unidentified man soliciting for money. However, Chidandala says he did not solicit any money and did not Kaihura with anyone else. Though the leakages have created a current of suspicion, Chidandala says he is still loyal to his boss and recognizes Lukwago as the political head of KCCA. Sudil Biarhanga, NTV.
Internal Affairs State Minister James Baba has directed the police to arrest local leaders and officials who are soliciting money from Ugandans seeking to register for national identity cards. While presenting a ministerial statement to Parliament this afternoon, he told MPs that even the birth certificates from the LC chairpersons should be issued free of charge to ease mass enrollment. Agnes Nandutu reports.
Mass registration for the national identity cards kicked off on Monday. The process that has been in the works for some time did not go on smoothly as it had been hoped. Right from the start, there were reports of a shortage of registration kits in many constituencies. And now members of parliament say their constituents tell them that some officials are soliciting money from those lining up to register.
People are complaining about distances to the centers. We have also heard about people, chairpersons asking for money.
The Internal Affairs State Minister James Baba told Parliament in his ministerial statement this afternoon that the ministry has also received similar complaints.
I want to tell all Ugandans that these forms are for free. And if any LC1 or any of the members of verifying teams or the enrollment officers are asking for money, police should take action and arrest such people immediately.
There seems not to have been proper communication between the officers implementing the program on the ground with the locals, and the sub-county administration took advantage of that to say, for example, they must sell those certificates.
Members of Parliament say the ministry should have done national sensitization before beginning the process, which in their opinion is a national landmark that ought to have been keenly handled.
People who are employed to work there, like LC1, their facilitation were properly specified, and all the officials that are working. But the police officers are required to report on that particular area at 6 in the morning, and they are supposed to leave at 6. But their facilitation has not been specified.
That is not, whoever is working on this project is being facilitated.
The National Identification Project has cost the government 285 billion shillings. It is aimed at ensuring that every Ugandan gets a national identity card as the country prepares for the 2016 general elections. Agnes Nandutu, NTV, Parliament.
Thank you, Agnes, for that report. Now, some messages coming in. We have Faith, who says Good Friday is a day that she marks by fasting, and she hopes it will help her draw closer to God. Thank you very much, Faith. And Sheila says she's looking forward to the long weekend and can't wait for the progi she has planned for the day. Well, today is Good Friday, and it's a public holiday for most people. I'm sure they are still at home. A commemoration of Jesus's passion story, especially his betrayal, trial, and the crucifixion. Some other messages coming in. Solomon says he doesn't understand why churches are not decorated on Good Friday. And we also have David asking, I wonder why it is called Good Friday and yet something bad happened. Well, I think it is because it's a good thing that happened, and yeah, bringing humanity to Jesus Christ. So, David, I hope we have answered your question. We now go over to Simon, Joel, and Brian for today's press review on location.
Is brought to you by Uganda Telecom. It's all about you. Is brought to you by Uganda.
Otherwise, it would even be a lot better now us using this background. As
Joel, relax. Relax, that's why they're telling me. A very wonderful morning. It's a Good Friday in every sense of the word. It is Good Friday on the Christian calendar. It is also a wonderful Friday morning with tremendous weather. And yes, we are coming to you live from, yes, I'm sure you're trying to look around to guess which background it is that we have. Not from the rooftop of the Kampala Serena Hotel this time round, but from Our Lady of Africa Church in Mbuya, east of Kampala. Good morning and welcome to Morning at NTV's Press Review with myself, Simon Kasiate, and Joel Senyonyi. As you can see in the background, we have got
tarmac floor, yeah, as opposed to the rooftop.
Absolutely. And now this is Good Friday, and the Christians in Mbuya have embarked on what we call the Way of the Cross. They are going through, as you can see them on your screen, they are going through what we call the Way of the Cross, simulating the journey that the Messiah, or Jesus Christ for that matter, did take from the point where he was scourged and beaten and condemned to that place where he was eventually hanged, called Golgotha. This is a journey of faith. It's a journey of going through the footsteps of Christ to understand, perhaps from a first-hand experience, how it was for people to get the salvation that we sometimes take for granted.
An interesting one. Many times they walk long distances. Some, of course, get feeble along the way, but they realize, you know, we're doing this for our God, so let's keep going.
We also recall that Jesus fell a couple of times as he was carrying his cross. And we also know somebody called Simon,
you know, your namesake,
did carry the cross for him. But let's get down into the newspapers this morning. What's making it the headlines on this wonderful Good Friday morning?
The Daily Monitor, an interesting big headline here. The judiciary is disabled. This is according to Judicial Service Commission Chairman Justice Ogola. He is saying, you know what, we have not had a Chief Justice for a year. We have not had a substantive Deputy Chief Justice for 2 years. This is not right. Lawyers, of course,
as the head of the Judicial Service Commission, this certainly falls within his ambit, in as much as we know that the President does make some...
Well, they did make a recommendation of Bat Katurebe, and His Excellency the President, you know, was not okay with that. He insists Chief Justice Benjamin Odoki should retain that slot. So there seems to be some pulling and shoving here and there, but we need to have a head of the judiciary.
Well, now let me just, before I can tell you what's happening in the Observer this morning, over which we have, and interestingly, the red paper from the compound of the church, let's get down to our other colleague, one of the legs of the three-legged stool that we are. Brian Mulondo, from where you are, how is it? Share with us your experience of the Good Friday walk and, of course, that Way of the Cross. Are going to be walking in a couple of minutes, are being briefed by the leaders of the church here at Our Lady of Africa, Mbuya Catholic Church, and they've already... okay. Some of the sound is leaking through, and they are just inviting the people, telling them a couple of instructions, but also reminding them that this is a walking experience. People should carry water, people should carry some food if they have to. They're going to be singing, and it's definitely going to be a hectic thing. Remember, some of us who watched the Passion of Christ movie remember that it was definitely heart-wrenching what the Savior went through to make sure that humanity is saved. So as and when they start walking, Simon, I will be letting you know of the proceedings, but if we can just have a zoom in of the picture down at where the briefing is taking place, and at where they usually have their square where most of their events happen. And when they start walking, I'll definitely be coming back and letting you know what's happening. Back to you, Simon. Well, there we have it. Thank you so much, Brian, for that insight into what we are seeing as far as the Good Friday Way of the Cross is concerned. Joel, you know, people, while we always are out there thinking that people do not take seriously their faith, I think such occasions, such simulations really tell a big story with regard to how people take seriously their faith.
Take seriously their faith. The other day I told you about CEOs. C for those that go to church on Christmas, then E, Easter, and then all other occasions like funerals and, you know, weddings and that kind of thing. I think if we are to take seriously our religions and our faiths for that matter, we need to practice them daily. The other day we kept on reiterating a quote, you know, Christianity is not the creed you profess, it is the life that you live. So it is a good thing when you see people out here and going for the Way of the Cross and trying to do everything good on such a day. That is good, but can we do this on a daily basis? Can we sustain it as they always that's what it should be like. If we do that, this country would be a lot better. We keep talking about the 90% that this country's population happens to be of Christians, you know. We don't seem to see that on ground. We are the biggest thieves. We have a gold medal. I mean, this country will drink more alcohol than milk.
Well, indeed, we did. The big story will be coming to you after this segment as always, but I must inform you that that was pre-recorded because Father John Mungereza, who will be featuring in the big story, is now leading the Christians along the way of the cross, and so without the way of the cross, and so without hampering his movement, we did record him earlier and we'll be playing that clipping in the big story. But let's get down to what's happening in the newspapers still. Yes, we are Christians, yes, we love our way of life, yes, we are embarking on the way of the cross, but yes, the newspapers too have got some news for us. Recently, we did see the President of Uganda handing over about 213 land titles to Buganda, and this was regarded as the return of some of the Ebiafe. The Observer this morning is telling us why the Katikiro missed out that state house.
Why they think?
No, I think the Observer is telling us why, not what they think.
What are they saying?
Well, they are saying a couple of other things, but for you to get a feel of them, get yourself a copy of the Observer this morning and read why did the Katikiro not be at State House. And of course, even then would have expected the Kabaka of Uganda to have been there. Why wasn't he there? That is something that will be in this.
Well, the Kabaka delegates, it's all right for him not to be there. He's got the Katikiro and all these other people that he points, so they should do the work. In the Daily Monitor here, Museveni tells off Lukwago in City Tour. I just want to read here it's told Mr. Museveni says he used the law to dilute the position of the Lord Mayor currently held by Lukwago. Now this is a rebuttal by Lukwago. Lukwago says
currently held by Lukwago.
It is a so he actually does seem to
recognize that there is a mayor in this town, and that
so he concedes that we have a mayor.
And what
Lukwago's rebuttal here says that it is a desecration of the office to the office of the president to make such statements. The president is oblivious of the law. How can the president of the country speak out of ignorance? Kizza Besigye Kano retired. He says, I would not like to roll in the garbage with Mr. Museveni. He should swallow his pride and stop abusing the people's choice.
There we have
in the Daily
Executive Director of Kampala Capital City Authority, Jennifer Musisi, is mooting the idea and selling it to government and asking them to get government officers out of the central business district. This will decongest the city. This will create sanity in our city. Question is, when government officers move away from a city, what is left? Is that still called a city? That's the million-dollar question we'll be asking.
Simon, I think we need to have done this yesterday. Kampala,
I know where you're coming from. I know, Joel, you have a conflict of interest.
Tell me about it.
One, it's been mooted that if Kampala is to shift and we have a new capital city, it should be somewhere in Nakasongola, where you come from. So I have an idea.
Where is the devil in that? Now that today is Good Friday, what is devilish about that?
You want to sell to us your little land so that we can build our capital city and you become a bourgeoisie and start living in Honolulu.
But look, there's some ministries that should not be in Kampala. Look at agriculture, for example. What is it doing in Kampala? I mean, a couple of other ministries that we can shift elsewhere to NTV and all the other places. And
agriculture was in NTV, just shifted itself to Kampala.
We need to get it back. It is not very relevant here in Kampala, without a doubt.
Well, there's an interesting feature here in the Observer newspaper featuring the man that's been making it in the news for a long time this time round. Prime Minister Amam Babazi, and also Secretary General of the NRM, he says here in the Observer that the NRM keeps its promises.
Is it? The other day we heard that, they owe this country promises worth 5 trillion Ugandan shillings. That is humongous, whichever way you want to look at it.
How are we faring in the Daily Monitor this morning?
Government admits problems with ID registration. Now, the Junior Internal Affairs Minister James Baba says there have been a couple of setbacks that have slowed down the exercise. Yesterday we did report that
quintessential Ugandan story, wonderful projects, execution hampered with a lot of bottlenecks, but I believe that our ability to pull this through, and we should, what will make us stick.
Without a doubt, we should, because we've tried again and again, we've lost lots of monies. This time round, we're injecting 285 billion shillings. I would not want to see that money. However, much I do have my own issues, and people might say I'm a bit agnostic about this whole idea.
But look, what? Agnostic.
I have my doubts about it, but I would like to see it taking off. 285 billion shillings is a lot of money for us to just throw.
Well, this is not the only time government is losing money to flummoxing activities. And
we are saying story it should stop. It should stop.
Playing out in the Observer this morning. Despite drawing a huge paycheck, MP's performance in the third year of their term is far from impressive, according to the 2014-2015 National Budget Framework paper. Well, I would have been surprised if this particular report said that the MPs are of any good performance. What's your view about the performance of our MPs?
It's a tricky one. I think many times they bite off a lot more than they can chew. They are doing what they should not be doing. And that is why we see them making promises that they cannot...
And you see, what hurts me is that the house is populated in excess of by over 365 of these guys.
I think
you can only find about 20 who actually mean business.
And you talk about 20 who mean business because, you know, you usually find about 15 during the plenary.
Exactly.
That is wrong. That is wrong. Because you see, it is wrong for you to reap where you have not sown. Because I'm told some of them go actually and sign their attendance book and then they disappear.
Absolutely.
This rapper...
While I know that we have a wonderful set of speakers, the speaker herself is an astute legislator, she's an astute mobilizer, she's an astute everything. But she's leading a house that is far, far, far punching below her capabilities. She is under-deployed.
You see,
I'm not saying she should vie for the presidency, because after all, the people of Uganda...
But what's wrong with vying for the presidency? Amama Mbabazi, as the honorable has again and again said, there is no illegality in standing for the president.
I did not say it is an illegal thing. I don't want to be the... I don't want to join the chorus of those calling on anyone to stand for the presidency. Let them make their own decision,
and you know,
then they come and sell their presidency.
What politicians usually say, for me I don't want, but my people
want. The people have said it. You see, Simon was on TV, he said I should stand. I don't want to take responsibility.
No, but our house is too big. There are some really good MPs there in trying their very best to do a good job, but I think it's too big a house even for we the taxpayers to carry.
Well, there we have it, and of course the Tri-Weekly Observer does have interesting stories on a Friday morning like this one, going to that Mars magazine, which is a good pull-out for you men. You get to get tips on how to dress appropriately, and you know who tells you that. And of course you get to know how to, you know, live your life from the man's side. There's also some bit of gossip. And don't forget, we have plenty of sports, both local, international, and there's always a flashback in sports. Local sport, to be very exact, that comes to you from the Observer.
The Archbishop of Uganda, the Most Reverend Stanley Ntagali here says, I urge all Ugandans to fight corruption. What a good message for such a day like this. I hope we keep drumming this up, because many times
the Most Reverend Ntagali would say this year, he will say it next year, he will say it 20 years from now.
And that's the point I was about
to
make.
What hurts me is that we keep drumming this message home. I mean, Father John Mungereza, who I interviewed earlier for the big story, is saying exactly the same thing, that are we living as Christians? Shouldn't we live like Christians? Why don't we live like Christians? We listen to this message, but I think we've reached a point of information fatigue, or we are now simply taking it as just mere melodrama. We don't seem to heed this information coming in from all quarters.
We need to, because on days like this, when we talk a lot about it, you know, a week after today, all that dissipates, and we're thinking, okay, are we getting back to the moral fiber of ours that's been eaten up real bad? That is not right.
The red paper this morning. Now the red paper is very interesting and very in-depth when it comes to...
Yeah, you probably need to put a disclaimer. Kale, we are at a church, we are going to scandalize people, but that's all right. There's news in here. Let's give it to them.
I want to strongly defend my good friends at the red paper, that there's nothing wrong with reading the red paper in a church compound, on church premises. I mean, this is a newspaper like any other, and I would read it anywhere at any time, because they have information here that possibly you don't find elsewhere. For example, General Jim Muhwezi telling Mama Mbabazi before President Museveni. Let's not forget that there has been a little committee that was set up and given 2 months mandate to try to get to the bottom of all these allegations of Mbabazi's misdemeanors within the NRM and his machinations to take on the presidency come 2016. And boy, oh boy, according to the red paper this morning, the report from General Jim Muhwezi is one hell of a biter.
Apparently the Right Honorable Mbabazi has always been the one tearing people before the president, and some people are saying, all right, we see this coming back to bite him. I don't know, do you feel sorry for him?
For who?
The Prime Minister. Somebody asked me the other day, and I was a little bit ambivalent. I was thinking, I don't know where to fall. Should I feel sorry for him, or he's actually being cut up by the system he created?
No, I feel the same way. I feel for Amam Mbabazi the same way he feels for me when I have got to wake up very early in the morning to present this show to you.
Does it feel for you?
That is it. That, for me, this is my job. This is what I am cut out for. Whatever tribulations I go through as a journalist are tribulations that come with the
having to pay 200,000 shillings.
Exactly. Those are the tribulations I've got to go through as journalists to ply my trade. The kind of tribulations he's going through are the tribulations that anyone has got to go through for as long as they're in the political realm, for having the kind of ambitions he has. And I'm sure he, being the brilliant man that he is, he knew that there are always ramifications for any action you take politically.
So he should face his giants.
Absolutely. And I'm sure he loves it, because this plays well within the grand scheme of things of politics. If you don't get persecuted in politics, then what kind of politics are you playing? If you do not get hurt, if you do not show ambition.
So this will either make him or break him.
He will come out of this stronger, or he will come out of this weaker and simply a piece of, scrap, so to say. So whichever way he chooses, it is his game to play, and he has the populace to woo. The red paper this morning, the Kabaka of Buganda and Prime Minister Mbabazi seem to have some secrets which, as always, the red paper does leak. So, Mbabazi Kabaka secrets leak. Now, these are the... There are so many K leaks these days.
We have the Kale leaks now.
Talking about Kale leaks, there is the Chidandala leaks. And in the red paper this morning, the Deputy Lord Mayor is begging for mercy from the Lord Mayor himself and saying, look, my friend, these are painful moments.
No, but beleaguered man.
I have already said, if the sun shone or rose at 3 a.m., many people in this country or in this world
would run for their life.
Because you do not know where you will be at 3 a.m. So this time
I only show up here at 7 a.m.
But you don't know where you're coming
try to look good, polish myself.
Yeah, so the Lord Mayor Kidandala, the sun rose at 3 a.m. He expected it to rise in the morning, but there we have it.
The King of Bunyoro says here, government did not return all our assets. We might see many other kingdoms coming up to say, all right, we've given Buganda part of what belongs to them. Can we get our share as well?
Well, there we have it. So there are very many. Hey, we have an interesting pullout on the weekend, my Scoop magazine. You haven't told me about it.
Your
but
Scoop
as you magazine. Look for it, yes, there are very many interesting stories in the Observer. Of course, and the red paper. And let's not forget that the red paper is your #1 source of gossip, as they call it. So if you are the kind of person who wants to get into this festive Easter mood with a tinge of gossip, please get yourself a copy of the red paper this morning. It's out on the stands.
Okay, the Scoop magazine here talking about many things, fashion design, probably how you should dress up for this Easter season as you go out to have fun, to eat life like they say. But
and the announcement of...
some of you go and eat life and you eat the whole of it and remain with nothing. I hope that will not be the case.
So we end up being lifeless.
You know, people go and drink themselves silly, make hell a pass.
As we wind up this morning, the press review, the gossip section of the red paper has my good old friend Professor Gilbert Bukenya.
He has become your friend now.
Bukenya making a U-turn. He has always been my friend, but many times his antics do disappoint me. That's why I call him he's my best of flip-flop friends. One thing he says this, the next time he does the other.
Is it? Before we end, Simon, you've always told us about your birthday, which is happening tomorrow.
Absolutely.
I just thought I should do a 30-second chorus for you, huh? Happy birthday to you.
Well, in
advance. Happy birthday to you. Your mama so pretty. What happened to you?
Well, I think when the
cameras coming tomorrow.
When the cameras go off, I have a suspicion that this man is going to give me a hug.
Is it?
Well, let me hand you back. Let's hand you back to our good old friend, Brian Molondo, who's standing by at the position where the Christians are going to set off for the way of the cross, coming to you live from Our Lady of Africa Church in Mbuya. After Brian, then we'll get down into the big story where I have an in-depth discussion on Christian way of living with Father John Munjereza, the parish priest of this very church where we are. It is a recorded show. Have a wonderful morning. Over to you, Brian.
Well, thank you so much, Simon. Lots of activity going on here at Our Lady of Africa Mbuya Catholic Church. And what is going the first station condemned to death, and remember the story of Jesus being held on to taken to we remember the story of Jesus being taken to Pontius Pilate, and the religious leaders there saying, you know what, this man claims to be the king of the Jews, you need to crucify him. What Pilate does then is to say, well, my hands are washed clean. What I do every year is to release a prisoner to you. So Pilate then releases Barabbas in the place of Jesus, and the religious leaders there say, yes, crucify him. But also, if you remember, the wife of Pilate saying, this man is clean, he is innocent, you need to let him go. And I guess those are some of the circumstances that made Pilate think his hands are also clean of the blood of Jesus. So what is going on right now is a prayer being led, proceeding there. Let's just listen in and have some of the activity going on here. All right, we can't get a very good, clear sound here, but what is going on in the back is they are having an artistic impression of the circumstances around that time when Jesus was being condemned to death. We'll be able to catch some of the other figures, the Roman soldiers as they are dressed, some of the guys here at the church being dressed like that, also Mary and the other disciples around. And if you can try and catch just some of the sound in the background, we are having an artistic impression of the circumstances. But again, I want to remind you, let me just go quickly through the way of the cross today as far as Mbuya parish is concerned. They are starting here, and they've already started the first phase, which is Jesus being condemned to death by Pilate. And after that prayer, prayer is focusing on unborn children that are condemned to death, and that is abortion. Of course, we have a huge debate surrounding the legality of abortion and whether it should be done under medical circumstances, but now a prayer has been dedicated to that effect. The second station is going to be Jesus carrying the cross, and they're going to walk all the way up to Akamwesi, and when they get to Akamwesi, the Indian community is going to lead a prayer as far as that is concerned, and they're going to be focusing on praying for the disabled people. And the third station is going to be Jesus falls for the first time. And of course, after being whipped for hours, after being mocked, after being spat on, all these things, Jesus was getting tired. The cross was obviously very heavy for him. He fell to the ground, and from Akamwesi they'll be walking to the third station at Nakawa Market. So if you can join them from Nakawa Market, say if you're coming from Bugolobi Flats or something, you can join them at Nakawa Market, and they'll be praying for all people affected by HIV and AIDS. And the fourth station is going to be Jesus meeting his mother. That was of course beautiful, and we all know the mother coming in to give him something to drink, and the scriptures ideally had to be fulfilled, and God was not just doing this because he wanted to do it. Ideally he takes on the flesh and goes and faces those circumstances and paying for our trials and tribulations. And at that point, at the fourth station, they'll be praying for vocations and religious communities. And of course, after many circumstances, some of our religious communities coming under a lot of scrutiny and being told we are harboring some of the vices, so it's time to clean our own house, and a prayer will be given to that effect. Now, the fifth station is going to be Simon of Cyrene helping Jesus to carry the cross, and that's the gentleman, if you remember the Jesus film, that's the gentleman who came in and helped Jesus carry the cross at Chinawataka Market. Let's try and just go in and get some of that audio being brought to you. All right, so of course more people are still filtering in, and I don't know if you can get me here. Let me just call a gentleman here who can help us also understand this while we are trying to get more closer to the action. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
What's your name?
My name is Edward Onen.
Edward Onen.
Yes.
Why is it important for you to wake up so early at 6:30 a.m.? You should be in your bed. It's a public holiday, and coming here and dedicating literally the next 6 hours to walking for this.
Well, the reason why we wake up very early morning on Good Friday is because the Lord bared a lot of pain for us, and it's only fair that we share in the pain of Christ, and we come and mimic the hassle he went through, the pain that he went through, so we can together with him celebrate his death, celebrate the life, the resurrection of the Lord as sinners.
Right.
Yes.
Ideally, some of the religious leaders misinterpreted the scripture when God said, I will destroy the temple of God and in 3 days it will rise up again. For you as a young person, especially the future, what does this scripture mean to you? Is it a point for us to totally destroy the things that have been destroyed or made bad, and now rebuilding something new for the future generations?
Well, not exactly. I wouldn't say that. What I would say is that as Christians, that is cause for us to live our lives exemplary, to live our lives well, to live our lives according to the norms of the church. You know, we are sinners, we accept that, live our lives such that we believe we are there to show examples, to live a good life and be good Christians.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Richard Onen, thank you so much for joining us. And yeah, you brought some water?
Oh, sure, yes.
You will need it.
Thank you very much.
All right, now I've been talking to Richard Onen, who is also one of the people going to walk here from Our Lady of Africa, Mbuya Parish. Now, of course, I was at the 5th station where Jesus was helped to carry the cross on his way to crucifixion, and a prayer will be dedicated to that effect to help pray for others bearing other people's suffering. That's a very nice prayer. Let me just try and get another person here to help us understand what the way of the cross is about. Mbadde nsaba okyukeko wano tukubuzeeko ensula amannya mukwano.
Nze Stella Nagawa.
Stella Nagawa.
Nagawa.
Lwaki okedde n'ojja otambule ng'ate olina kuba mu Republic Holiday abantu abasinga bali waka beebazi?
Anti luno olunaku tujjukirirako tutambuza kolya musalaba nga tujjukira olw'okufa kwa Mukama waffe Yesu Kristo yakomererwa ku musalaba.
Easter gwe ogitegeera otya? Lwaki ya mugaso?
Easter ya mugaso kubanga lwe lunaku Mukama waffe Yesu Kristo yazuukirirako.
Well, Stella Nagayi naye yakedde ajje wano atambule nga tuli live, ladies and gentlemen, from Our Lady of Africa, Mbuya Parish. All right. Abantu abamu bakyajja gye baliko nnyabo. Ono alabika akyalimu otulo. How are you? Talk to us. Good morning. What's your name?
My name is Harriet.
Your name is Harriet. Are you already tired before you start walking?
No, yeah. I'm okay.
Why is the way of the cross very important to you? Yeah? Harriet cheka tena kulya ka breakfast, but for the rest of you, you can now catch the rest of this congregation. Of course, people are still filtering in. I'm going to be talking to more people and they will be explaining, but for now, stand by. As and when those images come in, we will be bringing them to you live from Our Lady of Africa, Mbuya Parish. But for now, Simon is standing by with the big story. Good morning.
100 hash, select Chize and get the total amount you spend in a month refunded. This refund can be used for calls and SMSs to all networks for the next 30 days from Uganda's most affordable telecom service, Uganda Telecom. It's all about you.
Check it out. Uganda Telecom gives you a chance to be a millionaire. Your next phone call can turn you to a millionaire.
Answer calls on your mobile or landline and one of them could make you a millionaire.
Just receive calls on your Uganda Telecom number. You could win up to 1 million shillings every day.
The more calls you receive, the higher chances of winning.
There will be a winner every hour, every day.
Yeah.
All you gotta do is just answer your phone.
If you call me now,
I can be a millionaire.
If I call you now,
you can be a millionaire. Answer the phone, just answer the phone.
Yeah.
Answer the phone, just answer the phone. Don't miss that call. Don't miss loads of cash from Uganda's most affordable telecom service.
Uganda Telecom. It's all about you. Every idea we have begins with you. The way you connect.
Good morning.
How you browse. How you share. And how you interact with the world around you.
Your relationship with your God is the most important thing. Have a company of people who have got a similar mindset.
How do you want people to think, feel, and act after your talk? In other words, what's your objective?
You inspire everything. Because in the end, innovation doesn't really matter unless it does something that really matters to you. And we are HTC.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji and Brian Mulundo.
Thank you for joining us this Friday, the 18th of April, which is not just an ordinary Friday, but it is actually Good Friday. Earlier on, Simon spoke to Father John, and here is the big story.
Yes, a very wonderful morning, the 18th day of April 2014, and yes, this is the big story, an interesting big story, not like many that we've had in the past and from a location that may not be quite very familiar to most of you. But yes, it's the time of reflection. We're just coming to the last lap of the Holy Week, when indeed we, the Christians, or the fundamentals on which Christianity is based, that's the death and eventual resurrection of the Messiah, does take place. And this morning, we have the honor and privilege to be coming to you live from Mbuya Church. This is the Mbuya Our Lady of Africa, Mbuya Catholic Church, somewhere in Mbuya Hill. And yes, this is in Kampala district. From wherever you're watching us across the country, most welcome to the big story. And with me joining us for this interesting discussion this morning is the parish priest of Mbuya, Father John Munjereza. Good morning and welcome to the big story on NTV.
Good morning, Simon.
We are in the final leg, as they call it, of the Holy Week. Yes. Going by the reflection of Christian values, you must have a fundamental message that you wish to share with us before I can start my back and forthing of questions. Where do we start from, Father?
Yeah, for us, the believers, the Christians, this is the most important moment in our life. The 3 days, what we call the Easter Triduum, when Jesus begins the Paschal mystery, the suffering, the death and the resurrection for the salvation of mankind. So these are the most important days in our life as Christians.
But you see, Father, from where you sit, we as Christians tend to celebrate more Christmas as opposed to Easter. And yet, for all we know, the fundamentals of Christianity are based in that triumph, as you called it. The suffering of the Messiah, his death and his eventual resurrection. That is where the pivot of our faith should be. Why do we tend to focus more on Christmas as Christians as opposed to Easter like it is now?
Of course, Christmas is more influenced by the end of the year, and of course it's not so much suffering, it is the birth of Jesus. But now, especially myself, when I came here 5 years ago, I was not happy because I found that many Christians on Good Friday, they would stay at home. And I said this is not acceptable. And that is when we started to mobilize the Christians that look here, we cannot stay at home when Jesus is going to die for us. We have to be near him and we have to walk the way it started a long time ago in the beginnings of Christianity. In Jerusalem, the Christians always had the desire to know where did Jesus walk when he was going to Calvary. Yes, to follow the footsteps of Jesus. So I said we cannot stay at home on Good Friday. So we started to mobilize, and today you will see many Christians, they are not at home. Today they are coming to participate in this because slowly they are beginning to know their faith starts from there. This is these are the fundamentals of the Christian faith, where our faith comes from the passion, the suffering, and the resurrection of Jesus.
Let's get down to now the society ills in which the church, like the one you superintend over, is supposed to address.
Yes.
This country is bedeviled with a number of problems, and really I wouldn't go on listing them. You and I and the people watching us definitely know what these problems are. What message are you passing on to we the Christians, or even by extension to everybody that's listening to you and watching you, with regard to how to avert these problems that are facing us from a Christian perspective?
Yes, of course, Ugandans are wonderful people, but we would be more wonderful if we would understand the message of the cross why Jesus has died on the cross, to save us basically from sin. All the challenges we have, all the problems we have, they are because of the sin that is eating up the society, the values, the family, and we can see the effects of sin all over the place, in society, in the offices, in the families. And Jesus, the main reason why he has died on the cross is to set us free from sin. Then the rest of the things will follow, because many people, they tend to look for Jesus, maybe to get money, maybe to be healed, maybe for miracles. Yes, all those are good, but first of all, Jesus has come to set us free from sin.
Where you sit as a priest,
yes,
and the experience you get from people that come up to you, what you observe in this society, what do you think are the biggest challenges facing us as a people?
Of course, first of all, we have to, as our motto says, that for God and my country, first of all, we have to love God. God has to be there in everything we do. First of all, in our conscience. And for those who have been baptized, if you know you are a Christian, this should be, God should be the one guiding you. And you have to make that decision to say, but as a Christian, am I supposed to do this?
Am I supposed to do this? When we look at the ordinary Sundays of the entire year,
yes,
you find that subscription to your usual masses here is not overly subscribed, as we seem to see during this festive time. On Easter Sunday, and yes, we will be coming to you live from this very church for the 11 o'clock mass. We'll know that we'll have an oversubscription of we Christians overflowing into the parking lot and the like.
Yes,
Does this bother you from where you sit, that we tend, we as Christians, to come in on such big days, bombard the church, and afterwards retreat back to our usual default setting?
No, but I am happy that people come, but our desire would be that they get also the message, because like this day now, like the way of the cross we are going to walk is a strong message of evangelization. Because the human being should start to ask himself or herself, why did Jesus do this for me? And I always tell the Christians, this should influence our life, should lead us to conversion, so that a person can reach that moment where he says, I am a Christian and I cannot do this, whether in the family or in the office or on the roads, or you are a police officer. I am a Christian, I cannot steal, I cannot tell lies, I cannot involve myself in corruption, so that the faith can be seen in our life, our day-to-day life. So the people that will come during Easter, I hope they will get this message.
And keep coming.
Yes.
Now,
yes.
since I've had the pleasure to interact with the Catholic priest on this very show, I need to ask some of these questions that keep bothering many people. One, we see an exodus of young people from the Catholic Church into the more fancy and more suave and debonair Pentecostal movement churches. Again, I ask from this point, doesn't it bother you that you lose flock from your congregation to another congregation because of the mode of worship? Is there an amendment you're making in the way worship is carried out, in the way praise is done in churches like this, which are otherwise seen as conservative in their practices, to keep the flock together, especially young people?
You see, when Jesus came, he said he had come to bring the good news to the poor. And the greatest value a human being can have is faith. Now, young people, of course, they are at a certain level in their life, they are searching for values. So some of them, they tend to try many places and see But all in all, young people who have gone through formation, catechism, young people who today will be involved in the way of the cross, they will carry the cross with Jesus, they will remain strong in their faith. Of course, some of them, they get lost, or they try here and there, but that doesn't, because the faith, you cannot change it to suit the desires of human beings. The faith is faith, and also we have many young people, they go and they come back, they say, I went there, I didn't find anything, and I'm coming back. We have many people coming back, so we are not really bothered. Instead, this is why we put more effort in the way of the cross, so that especially young people may be involved. Like today, the young people, they will be the ones guiding us. They are the ones who have prepared. And last week I was telling them, you know, they are Christians, can live all his life, he has never touched the cross. Now when the young person does, let's say today, touches the cross like this,
it's not a message.
Yes, that will always be his point of reference, and he will not leave his faith and say, I'm going to see there and there. No, because some of them, they lack this experience to touch the cross, to get involved in their church, and we are trying to do that.
Well, Father, the Holy Father himself, Pope Francis, is preaching a consistent message and living it, the message of modesty, the message of being humble, of being the humblest of all, even as you lead them.
Yes.
That doesn't seem to resonate with most leaders, both in the religious and, I hasten to add, political realm. Where is the disconnect? Why do we have a wonderful message coming in from your church leaders, but we the people don't seem to want to live that message? Is there something lost in translation, or has human nature become so averse to materialism, to the love of self-aggrandization, and the absence of respect of the fact that even Jesus himself lived a humble life?
Yeah, of course, we are very, very happy how Pope Francis is leading us, is leading the humanity, and he has brought in that element of humility, which is very, very important especially in leadership, for leading people, especially not only in the church but even in the family. I always tell the parents, your children will be very happy when one day they see you washing the plates. Yes, and because they will know that their parent has come down to their level. Also, they tell us Pope Francis used to prepare
a meal for himself,
prepare the food for others. You know, for us the priests here, we wash our own plates, we wash our clothes. And this is the message we would like to give to everybody. This is the message that Jesus has brought to us, to be humble. He was the Son of God. He would have liked to
live in marble palaces, ride
yes,
golden chariots.
He was born in a simple way. He lived in a simple way, and his message was very, very touching. So,
as we conclude this, Father, of course, we are cognizant of the fact that a church like this one, or a communion like this one, does not only feed us spiritually. You as a church, Mbuya, to be very specific, you carry out a number of projects. You've got schools you run, you've got the outreach project that is helping in the areas of averting HIV and AIDS and all that.
Yes.
All this put together, how is the ministry, we want to put it as ministry, how is it progressing? Just bring us to speed of how the church is performing beyond the realm of offering evangelical nourishment.
Yes, of course, Mbuya is a very diverse community, cosmopolitan, many people coming here from different places, but especially in our area here, we are so much involved in the healing ministry, because some years back we realized that many people were scourged with this problem of AIDS. So that is how Reach Out was established, and we are caring for more than 5,000 patients. And then also we are taking care of more than 1,500 children, orphans in schools. This is, we think, is our humble contribution. Then we have two big schools, St. Kizito SS Bugolobi, which also is under our care, and St. Kizito Primary School. I understand you are an OB.
Pioneer class.
Yes. So we have also a nursery kindergarten here.
I was there too.
So we are giving that humble contribution to this community, to this church, and we are very happy to do it. Of course, in the footsteps of the first Comboni missionaries who came here and established this church in 1969.
Tremendous.
Yes. So everybody is welcome here. This is a church for all people who live in Kampala, but all over Uganda. When you come to Kampala, please come to Mbuya, and we're always here to receive you and to pray with you.
If it was someone else, I would have called it an advert par excellence, but since it's the priest, it's a call to come and obviously partake of the gospel nourishment. Indeed,
Yes.
as we've heard from Father John, today is one of those days that mark up to the last leg of the Christian calendar, where we see the suffering, which is the passion, the death, and eventual resurrection of the Messiah. Let's take a short break. When I return, it's Simon Says. Well, the basis of Christianity, as we've just heard from this discussion I had with Father John, is tethered around that moment where Jesus the Messiah comes down here, suffers, dies, and resurrects. His message throughout his 33 years of ministry was simple: love thyself, love thy God, love thy neighbor. It's all love, no matter all the other commandments, but the greatest of these were these: loving thy neighbors, you love thyself, loving thy God. Do we, in everything that we do, love thy neighbor as we love ourselves? Do we do unto others what we would want them to do unto us? Do we do everything to give glory to God in whatever facet of life we find ourselves? Is it the way I present this show, for example, that gives glory to God? These are moments when each one of us, in our different little ways of life, begin to ponder and ask ourselves those fundamental questions. And the conclusive sum of that question and how we answer it is what will make us better people, is what will make us a better community, and is what will make us a better country. From morning at NTV, it's been a pleasure having you this wonderful morning. Have a wonderful Easter, and do not just use it for the indulging of celebration, but it's a moment to look into yourself, as they always say. Have a wonderful time. Let's meet same time, same place on Monday, when I will be exactly 1 year older than I am now.
Every idea we have begins with you. The way you connect.
Good morning.
How you browse. How you share. And how you interact with the world around you.
Your relationship with your God is the most important thing.
Have a company of people who have got a similar mindset. How do you want people to think, feel, and act after your talk? In other words, what's your objective?
You inspire everything. Because in the end, innovation doesn't really matter unless it does something that really matters to you. And we are HTC.
What's that?
That document.
Oh, that. Just some business.
I came to apologize. I have no right to interfere in your lives.
I've eliminated the only evidence that links me to Ivan Chinawa's death.
But you didn't have to kill another person.
It's not like I've got anything to hide, Nene. Just go ahead.
Victoria, how is it like to work for Miles Filagazi?
Blood seemed to matter not.
Blood?
Yeah, blood.
I'm responsible for your father's death.
Running out of airtime can happen to anyone. The next time you recharge, simply dial *161# to get going again.
On the next episode of La Patrona.
Ramon Izquierdo was found.
Oh, that's perfect.
What they found was his body.
What do you mean, his body?
He was found tortured and dead.
If you go against me, you're going down.
Not go against you? But now that I have you right in front of me, I'd like to ask you why the hell you mistreated my mother.
And so why now?
I need to know the truth. My truth. The truth that's related to my mother. Only you can help me find that out.
Go! Ricardo, my love.
La Patrona.
At Orange, we know that running out of airtime can happen to anyone. That's why we bring you Wetase. Simply dial *161# to get going again. Convenience changes with Orange. Today changes with Orange.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jesus came to set you free and to be free indeed.
In life, you don't wait.
Yeah.
There are certain times where you wait for certain decisions, but when it comes to taking action and choices, you have to move.
Jesus Christ found me, and he actually asked me a question, whether I wanted to live or to die.
Every day of my life was struggling. It's just that God has given me this kind of hope.
GXP every Sunday only on NTV, your official inspiration station. You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji and Brian Mulondo.
Happy birthday to you,
And if you're born in the months of March or April, there's a high chance that Easter season will fall on your birthday. And today we celebrate the birthdays of Palevi. Lots of loves and greetings coming in from Manmeet here in Uganda. And we do wish you all the best. We wish you could have some Indian cake. But you also celebrate your birthday with Haile Gabriel Selassie, who is a two-time Olympic winning champion, and he broke a couple of marathon world records as well. He turns 41 today. And Lucas Fabianski, who is the Polish national team goalkeeper, he also plays for Arsenal. He turns 29 today. We now return to Brian for live coverage of the Way of the Cross at Mbuya, Our Lady.
You're watching Morning at NTV.
It's exactly 5 minutes after 8 o'clock and we're still live at Our Lady of Africa, Mbuya Parish Church. And in a couple of days, of course, many of us will return to church. And those of us who have specifically marked the days of Easter, Christmas, this is your time to come back to church. And I think they brand them submarine Christians. They come out only on the important days. Of course, this is definitely important in Christianity, and thousands of Christians, billions of Christians all over the world remember this day. It's the last journey of Jesus to crucifixion. And this is a representation that Christ took on flesh, came down to earth, and is now bearing the consequence of our sins. It might be a time for you to reflect too as a Christian. Whether you're not a Christian, maybe it's time for you to become a Christian and rededicate your life to Jesus. So as Morning at NTV, we decided to come here and follow the way of the cross. You can also catch more of that on GXP on Sunday, but we'll also be telecasting the Easter service live from Mbuya Catholic Church. Of course, there are some pictures that are going to be running on your screen. The people here at Mbuya Church have started the way of the cross. And I'm quickly going to go through some of the stations that they are going to go through. Jesus is condemned to death. We have seen that. There's been an artistic impression. You can see the pictures on your screen there, running live, and they're walking down, going down to Mbuya Barracks. Then from here, Mbuya Church, they are going to go straight to Akamwesi Hostel here at close to Mubs, and the Indian community there will be leading a prayer, and where they'll be praying for the disabled. And the third station is going to be Jesus falling for the first time. And of course, it's going to be at Nakawa Market, and they'll be praying for people affected by HIV and AIDS. And of course, the fourth station is going to be Jesus meeting his mother. And of course, we know what the mother did, came, gave some water, and you know, the scriptures ordinarily had to be fulfilled. There's nothing that Jesus' mother could do about that. And they will be praying for vocations and religious communities, especially now that the religious community is under attack, where it's harboring lots of sin, and so we'll be praying for that too. Simon of Cyrene, the guy that came in and helped Jesus carry the cross, that's going to be the fifth station at Chinawataka Market, and they'll be praying for those who help others bear their suffering. Definitely a great representation of that. Veronica wipes Jesus' face will be the sixth station at Chitogo Junction, and they're going to be praying for bringing an end to corruption. Lots of organizations that have been formed to end the massive corruption in this country, the latest of which is A4C also, and also the Anti-Corruption Coalition. Some religious leaders also joining that crusade. A prayer will be dedicated to that. The seventh station will be Jesus falling for the second time at Kunya, and they'll be praying for all leaders. The eighth station is Jesus meeting the women of Jerusalem. If you remember the Jesus film, they cried so much because their Savior was going to die. At the end of the day, most of us were indeed doubting whether Jesus would resurrect, whether this was the end of mankind, but we know that the scriptures had to be fulfilled, because he was going to destroy the temple of God, and in exactly 3 days it would rise up again. And they'll be praying for mothers who have responsibility of taking care of the family. Our ninth station will be Jesus falling for the third time. The 10th, Jesus will be stripped of his garments, and this is where the crucifixion literally starts, where the Roman soldiers will be betting on his clothes, will be mocking him, and of course, finally the nailing will start. So from Kunya they'll head on to Kobil Bugolobi, on to Bugolobi Market, Chiswa Market, Mbuya Parish, and then they'll come back here where Jesus will be laid in the tomb, where they'll be praying for all the youth. So you can join them wherever they catch you. You can join the way of the cross. Now, 2 days ago, we hosted the head of operations traffic, Mr. Norman Musinga, who told us about drunken driving during this festive season, but also cautioned us, if you are caught drunk, you will pay the price. And on a very sad note, someone paid the price yesterday when a car literally rammed into a house close to Protea Hotel, Kampala. Let's take a look at the pictures.
It's the first thing you see in the morning and the last thing you see at night. It stresses you out. It calms you down. It helps you remember. It helps you forget. It keeps you connected. It's the only thing you own that is always within an arm's reach. Which is why you don't need to get a phone. You need a phone that gets you. And you. And you. And we are HTC.
We started with the goal of bringing the power of computing into the hands of people around the world. From the beginning, we were designing many of the world's first touch and wireless handheld devices. Reaching out to our partners and setting no limits on innovation, we produced one of the most popular touch experience devices of the time. We were building smartphones before the term smartphone even existed. We then set out to make the most versatile smartphones, including ones that let you use either a touchscreen or a keyboard. We saw the potential of 3G early on and introduced the world's first 3G Windows mobile smartphone. We changed the way you use your fingers. Based on our research into gestures, we gave you the intuitive and easy-to-use HTC Touch. We then announced a new way for you to experience the internet with the world's first Google Android smartphone. To give you the most personal experience, we introduced HTC Sense, a user experience that fundamentally changes the way you use your phone by making things work the way you expect them to. We once more revolutionized the industry by launching the world's first 4G Android smartphone. We integrated Beats audio into our phones to deliver the most authentic sound experience, enabling people to finally feel the music the way the artist intended. We created a one-of-a-kind phone with an amazing camera that outperforms most point-and-shoot varieties. Most recently, we once again set the industry ablaze with the new HTC One. Critics have hailed the new One with its full metal body design, a live home screen, photos that come to life, and dual frontal speakers as the best Android phone of the year. Curiosity and ingenuity have defined our history, and we're recognized by the industry as one of the world's most innovative brands. We've come a long way, but one thing hasn't changed. It's people like you that inspire us to create the most innovative products in a world that becomes more connected every day.
Of course, what kind of Easter could it be without some goodies from HTC? It's definitely quietly brilliant, and here we want to make sure that you get a reward for whatever you're doing. So we asked you a question. Name the three hosts of Morning at NTV on the 1st of April 2014. And if you can answer that question for us, and you can win. Given the Easter, so we'll do this on Monday morning so that you definitely have a pleasant Easter celebration as it ends. So we'll give out that phone on Monday. Keep sending the correct names of the presenters of Morning at NTV on the 1st of April. Could walk away with an HTC Desire 300. Alternatively, go to the first logo, buy models and the models of HTC, the HTC Desire 1, 500, 600, 700, and the 200. Very affordable. And of course, I own the HTC One Max, which is the M8. There's the HTC One, which is the M7. Brilliant, you know, gadgets. Definitely best as far as communication is concerned. Of course, a reminder that we are live at Our Lady of Africa, Mbuya Catholic Church, and we'll be bringing the proceedings Sunday on Easter, the service at 11 a.m. So feel free to get glued on your tellies on Sunday if you don't go to church. But of course, we'll encourage you to go to church and also attend the proceedings. For now, stay hooked, because coming up is Everyday Life. Good morning.
It's the first thing you see in the morning and the last thing you see at night. It stresses you out. It calms you down. It helps you remember. It helps you forget. It keeps you connected. It's the only thing you own that is always within an arm's reach. Which is why you don't need to get a phone. You need a phone that gets you. And you. And you. And we are HTC.
Everyday Life is brought to you by...
And we are HTC.
It's exactly 18 minutes after 8, and today, billions of Christians around the world remember the journey of Jesus Christ on the way to Golgotha, where he was crucified and later laid to rest in a small garden in a new tomb. But as far as Morning at NTV is concerned, we are here at Our Lady of Africa Mbia Catholic Church. And to help us usher into this Easter season is St. Paul Church Choir. Take it away.
Enoto,
Up for yourselves, okay? you can sit. All right. Now I want to quickly. Who is the leader of the choir? You don't have a choir master. Where is the choir master?
I can talk on it.
Please come and sit here next to me. Huh? Please come and. Oh, you man, you're gifted by nature.
Why not?
All right. Let me have that mic. Let me have that mic and have this mantle. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
How are you?
I'm good. How are
Please
you?
tell us your name.
My name is Francis Onyango.
And how long have you been in the choir?
This is my 10th year.
Wow. You man, when did you start singing?
Must have been in my mother's womb.
All right. Now, I want to engage you guys on ministry vis-a-vis balancing work. Yeah? You sing. You have been in the choir for 10 years. How do you do this?
I guess it's the inspiration. It's, you know, singing is something I think, the only thing I'm addicted to, actually, is singing in church. So there is a silent force that keeps pushing me to go forward. Every Sunday, if I spent a Sunday without coming to church, trust me, at 11 o'clock every Sunday, my mind would be in Buya. And I'd be saying, okay, now probably they're doing this, okay, now they're doing this, now they're doing that. That it's silent. It's hard to explain at times, unless my colleagues have other views.
Right. Well, in case you are not getting us properly, it's raining. in Mbuya. But well, the good thing is that we promised you that we'll be giving you first-class live TV every morning, and so that's what we are up to. So please bear with us in case there's challenges in any audio or video. It's definitely raining, and we're trying. Our technical team is definitely working through that to make sure that you get the best. Ladies, for ladies, please hand it to a lady. And ladies are usually, for lack of a better word, accused of not fulfilling their marital duties or whatever they have to do because they are at church, singing, helping. How do you do this? How do you balance this?
I'm sure if you tell your partner you're in church, he doesn't have to feel like he's left out. He has to feel that you're actually doing something good. On top of that, it won't only be for yourself, but for everyone else, and you're being selfless. I'm sure he has to be proud of you.
Right.
Yes.
Yes. For you, how do you do it? Do you just say, I'm at church, if you want me, find me at church. That's the only place where I am. Because we've seen people whose families have literally broken down, marriages torn apart because of the burden of ministry on their families.
Well, I have no partner. So
hey,
I don't know.
Yes, you'll get. But you have seen that marriage is breaking apart because either the priest or the pastor is at church doing his role and neglecting their family.
Yeah, I have. Sometimes they spend too much time at the churches. That's actually not the problem. The problem is the other partners being able to trust them and supporting them. Some don't get all the trust and support like we do here. So that's where the problem comes in.
Right.
Yeah.
You ladies work, right?
Yeah, we do work.
What do you tell your bosses if you have to come to choir practice?
Actually,
some of you may be guilty. I see you laughing. So get me one guilty partner there. Is there one whose boss has refused them to come before? All right, let's get Madame there. How do you work that with your boss, convincing them to be part of ministry?
I haven't really had that challenge that I have to choose between my work and church ministry. Fortunately for us, we do our practices usually after work, because most of the ladies here and the gentlemen on this team go to work, and because they go to work, then they have to come after work. So we try to balance off the time. We do practice on Tuesday, Thursday, and then Sundays after Mass, after the 11 o'clock Mass. So we try to balance, and you just do it after work.
Right.
Yes.
So, where is Onen? I talked to... Are you brothers, you guys? You look so alike. I almost point... Onen, I guess you can stand up because we can't... Onen, how have you helped, most of these choir members also make sure that, yes, ministry goes on, but everything is stable? Because it's not just them who go and engage at home and convince their husbands or partners or family that they have to be at Mbuya Parish.
Well, that is true. What we try to do, me as one of the leaders of the choir, we try as much as we can to make sure everything is set right before the rest of the members can actually come in. Because we know they are always engaged in other things. Well, yeah, we have to sacrifice more, but I think it's worth it. It's worth serving the Lord. I mean, we can do anything for the good of the Lord. So we try to do this as much as we can, prepare everything well in hand. When the choir members come, everything is well set for them, and they can always do it without any difficulties at all.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I want to ask something. Okay, at this moment, Jesus he has been condemned to death. He's definitely going to be hanged. What does this mean for you as a Christian? Let me have this lady. Yes. What does this mean for you as a Christian right now?
Okay, concerning the process of Jesus being hanged, for us as Christians, it's a reflection. Somebody to sacrifice his life for us to live really shows that we actually need to emulate what he has done for us. So we have to really turn back, look into our lives, and we also realize that as Christians, we need to calm down, go to God and thank him for all that he has done.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome. And please, I'll ask you to bring back that mic here. As we wrap up, what advice do you have for people who want to be, engaged in ministry, but, are failing, whether it's work, whether it's their relationships, especially people who have always been wanting to be a part of the choir, but have failed? Of course, I have a moving voice. When I sing, people move away, but apart from that inhibition, other things come into play and we fail to be a part of God.
First of all, if you join St. Paul Choir, your voice may stop moving.
Yeah, I can do a tenor, I guess.
Yeah, I think the first thing you have to tell yourself is you cannot be too busy for God. The same God that gives you the oxygen you breathe, the same God that has ensured your life is continuous. Right. You cannot be too busy at one. We start, the earliest we start is 5:30. Surely, in most places you finish work. Even those who finish at 6,
yes.
We that time we go on. It's your time. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, you sing for your wings. It's possible.
Right. Just joining us, our Catholic Church, we will be also we acquire little ministry. You can catch the whole way across our GXPT doing the entire the parish, and they're going to walk through Akamwesi, Nakawa Market, Sports, Spear Motors, Nakawa, Chinawataka, Chitogo Junction, Kunyako, Bilbolobi, via Golobi.
Brought to you by
And we are HTC.
The country at this material time can be compared with a plane taking off on the runway. This is how the Uganda situation is right now. The economy, the society is like on runway, taxing to take off, economic takeoff.
All over Uganda, the seasons, known by the people for generations, are changing. Due to climate change, timing of seasons is shifting. Weather patterns are becoming difficult to predict, and weather events are heavier than usual.
Every idea we have begins with you. The way you connect.
Good morning.
How you browse. How you share. And how you interact with the world around you.
Your relationship with your God is the most important thing. Have a company of people who have got a similar mindset.
How do you want people to think, feel, and act after your talk? In other words, what's your objective?
You inspire everything. Because in the end, innovation doesn't really matter unless it does something that really matters to you. And we are HTC.
Beautiful girls all looking for love, and we guarantee that each one of them will go out on a date, but will it work out Only time will tell as we follow their magical dating experience on Be My Date. Your personality will matter, and The Bachelor has to be screened by all these ladies. We're going to have fun as we find love on Be My Date. And whoever said finding love was hard, on Be My Date, we will break the rule. Finding love is going to be an interesting experience that you all want to be a part of. Be My Date is a brand new dating show that is a must watch on the station that turns on your world. My name is Anissa Fabiola and I'll be your host.
To find a date, visit our Facebook page and inbox us your details. Be My Date. Dating made easier. Coming soon in proud association with...
There's an outbreak of freshness. Now the best ever from Close Up. 3 times fresher breath.
On NTV.
Mikwano gyaffe bana NTV ate naddala mu bannaamu muli gw'emizannyo muli gw'ebyemizannyo gukomyewo 2014 ate mutya kati ate gukyusiza n'obudde gwa 7 kitundu gwali gwa 9 ne gugoberera ntusanyuka kati gubongereddeko wano malya g'ebyemisana awo gusooke gubatayize gubaleetere buli kintu kyonna kalonda yennawo byemizannyo ogwemmuli gw'ebyemizannyo mupya 2014 Isima waali alagira Argentina yenjo mukubira eddiba lye omukwano gujja kukomawo ku muli gw'emizannyo naye kasita kinatuuka eri bano ba Messi okulumba abalenzi baffe ba Thiago Silva awo tewali mukwano omuli gw'ebyemizannyo 2014 President.
I was going to my hall, someone came from my back and was
how tugenda okwebaka ekiro yanga mwami omanyi webakeko nange omulundi gw'ogusembayo.
I went to the nurse and I asked why is it that our father is negative and for us we are positive.
Every time I find a story of assault of one person to another, I get disturbed.
Mwayombye ekiro lwaleeta suzeewo lwe bakwokezza nazeepoza kimu nti mujja wange yanjokezza
kino ekyafa kino kyali kyakulira muno mu lubuto.
The Irene I know just loves music and loves to sing. I've never seen her even smoke a cigarette.
The days of legal trade in slaves are history, following its abolition in the 1800s.
They tie you like this. That's when I started getting past.
Everybody has a story, but yours will only become our story when you share it.
Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Kampala has been voted in the past as one of the favorite cities for tourists, one of the most peaceful cities. That is something that is changing.
Kale Kaihura, the Inspector General of Police, and President Yoweri Museveni, their alliance, they can only crack down or stop individual strikes and individual demonstrations. But I don't think they can stop the growth of militancy.
No holds barred.
Besigye and Lukwago have particular grievances against the government, some legitimate, some misguided. What should the police do? Of course, the police has to intervene, A, to protect the power of President Yoweri Museveni and the NRM from disruption by Besigye and Lukwago, but B, also, never forget this, to protect those ordinary people whose property gets destroyed.
I want to ask that many think that they've actually been frustrated.
Opposition parties in Africa do not tend to be constructed around policy differences. FDC lacks a glue to hold its coalition of different power-hungry individuals together.
Incisive.
You see, the NRM is more divided internally than the FDC. The advantage with the NRM is it has political power.
Analytical.
I think that one of the best organized political parties in Uganda is the PPP, the People's Progressive Party with Dan Sali. This idea that everybody is telling around the world that Africans are poor and they cannot contribute to their own political and social emancipation is crap. In fact, I think that the opposition parties in Uganda have to win an election in an unfair and unleveled ground.
News Night with Andrew Mwenda.
Asimwe. Asimwe, we are bringing your drink.
Okay, don't worry.
Mbasente zode mukoti yange.
Sente.
Nzowa jemu.
Sitawanya demo mwenge.
Hani gutamu. Ha? Nkuwunyirira gwanze nja kukuba.
Tonna kusasula myezi ebiri ja nyumba gye batubanja. Oli mukunywa mwenge n'abakazi.
Kikulu nnyo fe abeewola okumanya zi banka n'abatuwola engeri gye babalamu amagoba.
Lwaki obuuza ekibuuzo ekyo?
Sente zaabwe.
Dembe lyo ekyo kikulu nnyo okukimanya. Onfuna kikulu nnyo okusooka okunoonyereza tusobole okwetegereza n'okwekkaanya. Okifuna amagoba n'oluvannyuma tulondeko amagoba agasinzeeko okuba amatono.
Running out of airtime can happen to anyone. The next time you recharge, simply dial *161# to get going again.
On the next episode of Jazz with Isaiah.
The piano, and I studied it for many years. And after getting bored of doing so much of piano, I wanted to try a different instrument, and it sort of turned up to be the trumpet. What we do with this kind of music. So for me, that was the biggest challenge, to sort of enable people appreciate and accept that this is a genre of music that can be on its own and it can stand. And
Jazz with Isaiah.
At Orange, we know that running out of airtime can happen to anyone. That's why we bring you Wetase. Simply dial *161# to get going again. Convenience changes with Orange. Today changes with Orange.
NTV, turning on your world.
Oda, I no go stop to the singing.
No problem. Keep singing. This singing will put you in trouble very soon.
You won't believe it's the boy's father that inflicted such injury on him just because he stole 50 naira. 50 naira for that matter. That man should be arrested. Oh, how I wish I could just see that man and give him a piece of my mind.
Abigail, I don't care if you're chatting with Barack Obama. When you're at work, you learn how to detach yourself from that phone else to get you into trouble.
Whatever. I mean, you should be happy that a pilot is asking your friend out.
My brother, I learned that 3 armed robbers tried to rob a man as he came out of the bank at the junction before the express.
Don't try to be the hero.
You won't kill me. Do you know how long I've been waking you up quietly and you refuse to wake?
Now you can't interrupt someone.
I like to pray with you, nurses, being the vessels that the Almighty God has been using to heal His people.
Okay. Can someone please talk to me? What is going on?
Who is she?
See, I hate cheating in my life. I hate cheating, and nothing will make me have 50 kobo to that money I already get you.
gentlemen, Jesus came to set you free and to be free indeed.
In life, you don't wait.
Yeah.
There are certain times where you wait for certain decisions, but when it comes to taking action and choices, you have to move.
Jesus Christ found me, and he actually asked me a question, whether I wanted to live or to die.
Every day of my life was struggling. It's just that God has given me this kind of hope.
GXP every Sunday only on NTV, your official inspiration station.
Running out of airtime can happen to anyone. The next time you recharge, simply dial *161# to get going again.
On the next episode of
This is Corner with your boy Miles Wamiti. Tuli fenna ku Lwokutaano no sanya n'ekitundu twegatteko nga tukuleetedde ebintu ebyenjawulo bingi. Onfuna bulungi nnyo okusokera ddala tulina Wile Mukaabya nga tunnyonnyola emyaka emituufu gy'alina. Mukubi wa raga, wa reggae oba wa dancer. Banafa ba Ebonies batunnyonnyola kiki ddala kye balabye mu kuyimba ennyo.
Twagala okuleeta ekintu nga kiri authentic ng'omuntu ajja kukyagala ate nga kiri long lasting.
Twegatteko ng'oneka ekigambo Corner leka wakabanga obubaka bwo n'erinnya lyo oweereze ku 655. Mu ngeri y'enjawulo genda ku Facebook n'ekigambo Corner ne NTV. Just like the page, tujja kuba tugenda mbira byenja tukweka sente ate bitunga fena tuli ba Luganda sawa jana ekitundu Miles Wamiti happy Easter yona abali ekiboga masini hoima tujja.
At Orange, we know that running out of airtime can happen to anyone. That's why we bring you Wetase. Simply dial *161# to get going again. Convenience changes with Orange. Today changes with Orange.
Much more than that emblem on your chain, but it means I'm free, yes, from the chains of slavery, and the blood it shed won't let my sins remain. Oh my, upon the cross my Savior died, the Lamb was crucified, showed us love that this world had never known. Oh, what love divine, so divine, true love you'll never find, so that we might live. Love came and died alone. Hallelujah. Well, the